You have given us samples.
Yes, sir.
We wanted a proper schedule
Of those-
indicating company, date, and how much. Yeah, because now these samples are complicated to work with. Yeah, it's good that we have some of these letters and the minister is here, so he will speak to them, since he's the one who was signing them. But we wanted, and I don't know whether that would be from you or the minister's office, but you're the entity.
We can do it.
We want a proper schedule of all the entities that have gotten waivers, when, and the amount.
Okay.
So that it makes sense. Otherwise, these samples are complicated to deal because it's just a sample.
Yes, sir.
We want to know the extent to which these waivers operate.
Okay. Do you want to give us the period, the time of the, is it for this financial year ended June or?
No, we can start Jan 1st, 2021 to date.
Okay. Yes, that will be availed. How long do you want? We are requesting for at least to be delivered by Tuesday, if possible.
No. Because people knew we needed these.
I think the instruction was not very clear. We thought you needed to see how those letters look like, but the details of the totals done for a period requested, we can do that analysis.
Let's get that tomorrow morning.
Okay.
Because you have the details, I'm sure there are people at the office, engage them or whoever, so that they begin to work on that. We need that schedule.
All right.
Because that's the only way this gets to make sense. The samples are good, but they are just samples. Right. We need to understand the extent to which this happens.
Yes, sir.
Yeah?
Okay. Chairman,
any other documents that...
What do you mean by sample? Is it a sample or photocopies of? What do you mean by sample?
Samples
or is it
that got waivers for their products. Now, these are just a few of those companies. They just sampled out. Yeah? For what we want is a schedule of all the companies that have been getting waivers. All right? So let's get that schedule so that it makes sense. Any other documents, clerk? Yes, Council Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. I was asked to bring in my certificate of dual citizenship, and I wish to present that, but it being a personal document, I intend to take it back.
I can look at it and get it back.
and just do a photocopy?
And
yes, go ahead.
Secondly, Mr. Chair, just as I got in here, my usual source has sent in another 7 names of inspectors, separate from the 5 who caused the 9.28 billion, and there are pages and pages of containers or whatever that, unfortunately, I've just got it, so I don't know how we'll get it printed and
in what form is it?
It's I have it on WhatsApp.
You have it on WhatsApp?
Yes.
Send it to, I don't know if you have the clerk's number. Share it with the clerk so that we get it printed.
Share it with Mr.
Right
Mpuga,
away.
and
Yes,
then
Mr. Mpuga.
I have Mr. Mpuga's
You do have his number. Okay,
contact.
so
I can
send it to him now. Then he will share with our secretariat to print immediately.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Honorable Abdallah, there's documents you had asked for. I think correspondence is with UNRWA, if you could remind us, but something of the sort.
Honorable Chair, on that one, we were not able to get information. I don't know whether, Honorable, after this meeting, you can give me a bit of more details on that particular service provider. A service provider, the transaction, so that we can trace backwards.
In the next few minutes, I'm going to get you the service provider.
Thank you.
maybe as we get that, because that's an important element, I hope we get the documentation soon. All right, let's kick off this way. The minister also intimated to me that he requests to not be around till the very end. He has some engagements, but I said we have him here. Hopefully we can finish with him in good time to release him, but it's important that we get to hear from him about certain issues. And I want to start this way, colleagues. So, Honourable Minister, you are supervisor of this entity as a ministry. And as you said, you've been watching what we have been capturing. I wanted to ask how you have been following up the goings on at UNBS. Because you see, as supervisor, you're meant to be perhaps hands off but eyes on. We want to know whether your ministry has been doing so, because there's several issues that have come to the fore. Money spent at source. In other words, the entity became, the accounting officer became parliament, decided to appropriate money. The NTR, the non-tax revenue that is collected, meant to be sent to the consolidated fund. He sends some and he retains some. And that's something he conceded to. It's against the law. There's numerous issues that we have seen between council and management. Council complaining about how management is operating, management is not being accountable, and so on. Management is also raising complaints about the board, and there seems to be a stalemate, and we are wondering, where is the ministry? Because at the top of the board and the entity management is the ministry. We are wondering, for all of this to boil to this point, where is the ministry? The other issue, Honorable Minister, yesterday, the accounting officer, of course we had information and reported to him, and he confessed that he gave a cash bribe of 100 million shillings to board members not to terminate his contract. And we had screenshots of all of that. And he confessed to that effect. As I said, we handed him over to police. Police granted him a bond, released him on bond because he needed to attend today. But that's a serious matter. That's why we handed him over to police. But I'm wondering, where has the minister been in all of this? And maybe you could talk to us about what action you intend to take now that all of this is at your doorstep. Because he confessed, it is clear, you're his appointing authority. We expect that as minister, you don't even have to wait for our report as a committee and recommendations for that matter to take action about some of these things. So please talk to us about these issues. If there is any, maybe one or two other issues that members would like to raise, so that the minister responds at once. Honorable Cooper?
Yeah, maybe for clarity, because during the chairman's submission on the first day, he did allude to the fact that the minister had written terminating the ED. But a day after, that was 26th, then on 27th, he rescinded the decision. He rescinded the decision, and you remember yesterday, that is what the ED was waving, that the chairman was saying, if you don't do the needful, this is what will happen. But the chairman said, the minister wrote that saying he was going to be out of the country. When he comes back, he will address the matter. But the chairman was saying it is now over 2 weeks. The chairman has come back. You are saying this matter was serious, but he has done nothing. So can he clarify the circumstances under how this happened, writing termination, withdrawing the following day, coming back, not taking action, and the board is concerned about it?
There was an earlier letter that was written by the minister.
Is that not what he raised, Honorable Okupa? I think that's the issue he has raised. Yeah. Okay, so Honorable Minister, just to refresh your memory, it was 26th June 2023. And you wrote to the Executive Director, Uganda National Bureau of Standards, misappropriation of funds and misconduct of the Executive Director of Uganda National Bureau of Standards. Reference is made to a letter regarding the above subject matter from the chairperson of council, of the board, that is. The letter therein raises several grounds of misappropriation of PIVOC funds, unauthorized withdrawals from a collection account, failure to take action on staff found to have caused financial loss to the Bureau and government, and financial misconduct of the Executive Director. The grounds therein raised in the letter are very serious in nature and require sufficient investigation and conclusion, because allowing the same to continue would cause further loss of taxpayers' monies and a great embarrassment to the institution and government. In light of the serious allegations herein, I hereby, raised against you, I hereby order that you step aside for a period of 6 months to enable sufficient investigations into your misappropriation of funds and misconduct stipulated in the letter. By copy of this letter, the chairperson of the council should ensure that a caretaker of the office is identified and the matter is sufficiently investigated within the set timelines while following the law. This was 26th of June, 2023. The following day, 27th June, you wrote to the chairperson of the board, misappropriation of funds and misconduct of the executive director of UNBS. Reference is made to a letter dated 26th June, 2023, the one I've just read. As you are aware, I will be traveling to China for the Africa-China Economic Trade Expo, scheduled for 29th to 30th June 2023. The purpose of this letter, therefore, is to recall the above letter until further notice. So you had sent the ED on leave for 6 months. You asked him to step aside, but then you withdrew that letter because you were traveling until further notice. What happened? Talk to us about that. The Vice Chair
is in line with the letter that the IGG wrote to the chairman, asking the chairman to terminate the contract of, I tried to look for the letter, I have not seen it, but when I see it, maybe I will make reference to it later, asking the chairman to terminate the contract of ED because they thought he was not recruited. Okay, he was not capable to do the work. But the reason why I raised this to you is whether, as a supervisor, this was brought to your notice, and whether this formed your opinion to write the first letter that you wrote. Yeah, thank you. John, to what IGG wrote.
Chair, the 7th June, 2023, about the procurement for PIVOC. In the yesterday's bundle that was submitted by the chairman. Yes, it is on page 15 to 17. Here, the minister was quoting various documents and referring to an investigation that happened in Kenya, which found one of the companies to have been blacklisted and was also not eligible to participate in a procurement. So, Chair, maybe if you don't have ready to have, I can volunteer my copy.
any of the issues that have been raised by members. So over to you. Let's start with the
Thank you, Chair. First of all, I want to thank you because the things have been put to the citizens of Uganda. And I'm glad that these things have been put to the population of Ugandans, and it was your committee which has brought it up through the... I want to thank you very much I want to thank the committee for bringing up these things, the public of the people of Uganda, which has been running in the place a few days back. To get the point, the first letter, which I wrote before I was traveling out of the country, I had been getting previous things about the executive director, and the board. First of all, my supervisory board, I put it by law, I put it through the council, which has a mandate to do these things and advise me of whatever good or bad is going on in the council. And when I got this idea about public funds being spent at source, definitely I had asked them to do the needful, because they look after the audit, the everything. They look after the day-to-day running. Not the day-to-day, but the overall inspection of the affairs of the council. And the most grievous one was, the most grievous of these, there are always day-to-day problems between management and the public and so on. But when it came to the question of using government funds not going in I thought that was too much. When I got that knowledge, I had to write to the council that let this man go on 6 months for leave, expecting that an audit cannot take a short time like that. But then I had to travel, and when the letter was out, I had to tell my predecessor, and we had to talk as a ministry, that if such a thing leaks out, as it has leaked out now, of saying that so much money has been spent at source and misappropriated, it would be a very grievous matter. As a minister, I should be around, not leave it to that. And immediately, but I had passed on the letter which I had written to the chairman, of which he could be preparing in the few days that I come. That action was taken.
Chair.
That's why I withdrew the.
I'm proposing that Minister on oath, the critical area where we are going. Yesterday, some testimonies were made here, and fortunately or unfortunately, they were not on oath, and they were very vital. The area where the minister is going, I find it reasonable, Chair, that the minister be put on oath.
Let's give him chance. Let's give him time to continue, so that we see how it goes. But now, oath and all that may not really be necessary right now. I beg to submit, Chair.
Okay, so two things. They are not invalidated at all because people are not under oath. At all. Because this is a committee of parliament with powers of the High Court to summon witnesses, and everything is recorded on the Hansard. So no one can say that I was not under oath. Okay, so nothing can invalidate what is on the record of the Hansard of Parliament. We normally activate the oath when we think that a witness is either not being straight with us or is trying to prevaricate, trying to tell lies. Yeah, so that's when we invoke that, because then the person knows that now I cannot tell a lie under oath. That's a different offense altogether. Luckily, so far, this team has been very honest with the committee. They've been forthright. They have told us everything we need to know, which is a good thing, because then we didn't necessitate putting them under oath. Yeah. Let's allow the minister to first make the presentation responding to these issues, and then if at any one point we detect that he's being economical with the truth, that is not coming through forthrightly as we expect, then we shall put him under oath. We have put ministers under oath before in this committee, so he is no exception. Let's first listen to him, and then we follow along the way.
That is in regard to the letter which I withheld, that on my coming back and I started acting, And I also asked them, I asked the council to take immediate action about this.
Chair, I seem to have missed out. What was the reason for withdrawing? I think the minister was interjected when the issue of the order came in. Can he just start from that point where there was an interjection?
What I hear the minister say is when he read council to take action. Now, we just need to ascertain that. So you told council to take what action, and how did you tell, in what form? Did you write to them? Did you call the chair? Help us understand that. Because you seem to say that's why you withdrew. Help us clarify that. Yes, Honorable Abdallah.
The minister was saying that he was going to China. Can the minister tell us whether he actually traveled?
Yes,
and when did he return? Because everyone here knows how many days it takes to go to China and come back. Did you actually travel on 29th? And did you actually come back on 30th? You should tell us.
And I came back. I came back on the 1st.
You came back on the 1st, Honorable Minister, because according to your letter, you said when you come back, you'll handle. So you gave an assignment to, you said things had gone out of hand. So the committee wants to know what action was taken by you after you returned, and if you can give us evidence to show that you did something.
Further, Chair, like 2 days. So when the minister says he went on the 27th, of course, you know that's the day the letter came. You'll arrive there on the 28th. So the meeting was for 1 day, 29th, then on 30th, he travels back and arrives on the 1st.
It's important.
Okay, Honorable Minister, you traveled on 27th and returned bonding for the minister. You said you're technical. What did you, where is the microphone? Because you're now giving us answers. I need to know in what capacity you are responding. Bridget, microphone. But yes, so we want to establish. You traveled 27th, and you returned on 1st.
On second.
The minister doesn't quite remember. He wants someone
Chair,
to respond for him. Who is this responding?
You have forgotten the dates.
We are actually going to require that evidence, but it's important we first hear from you verbally, and then the documentary evidence backs it up. Yes, sir, you wanted to say something. Excuse me. So we gave you the microphone to put it down. You man.
Chair,
what did you say your name is? Please stand.
Chair, Wabsani.
What do you do at the ministry?
I work as senior commercial officer, but I'm the technical affairs of the minister.
Did you travel with the minister?
Yes, please, I did.
Okay, so when was the travel?
We traveled on 27th of June.
And returned when?
On the 1st of July.
1st July.
Yes,
Minister was saying 2nd. Who has the travel documents?
I do have them, Honorable.
You do?
Yes, please.
Okay, we'll require them tomorrow.
Thank you.
Said partly the reason you're not taking action, the reason you're withdrawing the suspension of the ED is because you were traveling. Now you came back. When you came back, what did you do? Just walk us through so that we get a good picture.
I'd even almost started working on it. I had also to get my team at the ministry, and the action we took is that they should go ahead and do what they have decided about him going on leave.
The Vice Chairperson has a point of procedure.
Yeah, Chair, if I am reading this letter, and Mr. Minister, you in your letter, you say it is therefore prudent to handle this matter when I returned from China. The purpose of this letter, therefore, is to recall the above letter until further notice. People who studied English here, you help me. What does recalling mean?
Okay.
Chair,
Yes, additionally.
Because for
Chair,
what I understand
let the Vice Chair
recalling
first
means,
finish.
you have recalled your letter.
I've recorded my letter, but it does not record the substances in the letter. Because I'm saying when I come back, I will handle them.
Chair, I want to ask the minister, sending the ED on 6 months forced leave. He knew he was traveling on the 27th. Honorable Minister, when did you learn of the China trip? Didn't you know when you were writing the first letter that you were going to travel the following day? Number two, the suspension was for 6 months. Your travel was for 3 days. What is the relationship between your travel and the suspension? What was it that you thought was going to be done in your absence that was so material that in your absence it wouldn't proceed?
Honorable Minister, I would like to bring to your attention that yesterday, your executive director alluded to the fact that he bribes senior people and supervisors. He actually confessed that he has been bribing the council members. So, in your submission and following on what Honorable Gaffer has asked, would it be an inference that you were actually bribed to record this letter? Because on the 26th, with your own signature, you wrote to the executive director and sent him on 6 months leave. The following day, you recorded a letter. In any case, you had written to the executive director on 26th, but on 27th, you wrote to the chairperson of the council. Why did you not write again to the executive director? Because the letter was addressed to the ED of 26th. On 27th, you wrote to the chairperson. So would it, if we inferred that maybe there was you were bribed to rescind your decision, would we be wrong to reach to that conclusion, bearing in mind the conduct of the ED? Thank you.
Procedure. Let me hear it.
Chair, I'm a medic, my colleagues, and you, that let us allow the minister to answer question by one.
But now,
Because
that's exactly, Honorable Member, I was stopping you so that we allow the minister to respond. You insisted on speaking.
Chair, as you say, to respond to what? Because there have been so many interrupted.
So you see, colleagues, the minister is now asking to respond to what there have been so many issues. It was not writing. Honorable Minister, you need to keep. Okay, let me refresh your memory, Honorable Minister.
Chair.
Just a second.
Is that from the PA or?
The issue here is you wrote to the executive director of UNBS, sent 26th of June. On 27th of June, you wrote another letter with that let things remain as they are because I have a trip, in saying when you returned, you told the council chairman, the board chairman, that the board council should take action. You remember up until that time? That's right. Yeah, so wanted to know, or did you envisage the board would take? 3, did you follow up to ascertain that actually the board you gave them? First respond to that.
Yeah, because I had thought this matter being so grave would involve an audit by the Auditor General. And audits don't take a short time. And when carrying out an audit, of course, somebody in the office must be out. But then when I came back, I said to the board, they knew something about the audit being carried on by the Auditor General. There was an annual audit going on, as well as this was supposed to be a forensic audit. The board, getting this knowledge that I wanted an audit to be carried out, they said, I am sure they must have referred, they came and reported. There was nothing in writing. They came and reported back to me that they have already presented the case to the Auditor General. And in their wise, they gave him less time of carrying out. Because there were two things. There was an annual audit of the ministry going on, and they said this forensic audit will not take place. I mean, it might coincide, I'm sure. As I said, there are the supervisors who supervise things at the spot. They found out that let him go for 1 month because of the other audit which was taking place, so that they can, of the grieve matter, to my knowledge, I thought 6 months would have been appropriate. And I'm sure they did take it. But we talked, there's nothing in writing, but they did what is necessary. And they sent him on leave, and as we talk here, I expect that this man is on leave.
Oh.
Yeah.
As I speak
Chair,
here, I'm only that I'm happy. Only that I'm happy, and that's why I'm thanking you. Is here answering those allegations. I sent. This board had decided, let him go and leave, get out of office, and put in somebody else. But when the audit is being carried on, the action was taken. Not from me, but we talked together, and they gave me their position on this previous letter.
Chair, something very, very critical. You are saying you agreed with, actually was very unhappy with you, because he said when you returned, you didn't act. You didn't act. Actually, he's not happy that you didn't act after coming back from China. That was those were his words, and it is on record. So, according to him, you never acted.
Okay, let's first get this very clearly. Just a second. When you came back, you spoke to the board chair, and you told him and the board to take action. And what you're saying is they sent the ED on forced leave. In fact, you're surprised that the ED is here and not on leave. I am thinking, Honourable Minister, how do you follow up on instructions that you have given? Because you also told us you have been following the committee discussions and so on, but this morning you're telling us you're surprised that the ED is here and not on forced leave. We are surprised that you're saying that, Honourable Minister.
There is an effect that the board decided to send him on leave so that they talk with the Auditor General and see this thing to be carried on. He could not stay in office as the board realized. I said, the board supervises these things for me. I don't do day-to-day work. But this was such a matter that the board took action immediately, say get out for so many months, and somebody else, and I have that letter.
You have a letter? A letter from who? Written by who?
The letter which was written to the ED.
Okay, maybe let's first speak the board chair.
The ED has got a letter from the action you wanted me to take, which I had to take, has got, they took action about it because they were aware. They are the ones who brought this idea to me before I wrote this one.
That's the board.
I reacted very quickly, about 6 months. I didn't know the modus operandi which is going on at the council. And for them, the council took a decision for him to go and leave while the investigations are carried on. And that's why I'm saying I'm surprised. I heard it from the news that he was here and talking about the same issue.
But Mr. Board Chair, you were here and you expressed concern that the minister never took action. You raised these issues to him, he took action, then withdrew the action. Now the minister is saying he instructed you to take action, you and your board. So he seems to be blaming you for not taking action. He's surprised the ED is still in office and not on suspension. Why did you not follow the minister's instructions?
This is, honestly, I'm going to give this job back. Because, Mr. Chair, Honorable Mngevesa is my friend for 20 years. And he's aware, because the ED, since he came from the trip in Kinshasa, he has been addressing conferences everywhere, even after we gave him the letter to go on leave. Then he wrote this document, which was delivered to me. And I beg to read the paragraph he wrote on council resolution to force me on leave. This document is dated the 12th July. This was his reply. So he says,
if you could lower the microphone a little so that we hear you properly there.
okay. He says, Mr. Chairman, as you are aware, I'm entitled to my annual leave of 30 days, which I can take any time at my convenience. Therefore, the Council's resolution sending me on forced leave is not necessary and was done in bad faith and malice, given that it amounts to me being convicted without being accorded a fair hearing, which is my natural right protected by the laws of Uganda. As a legitimate secretary to council, it was equally fair to pass such a resolution in my absence. He's working. He's at work.
Honorable Chairman.
But Chair, there was a question to you, Mr. Chairman Board, about the instruction that the minister gave you, and you were very unhappy with your minister for not taking action. Do you still maintain that stance, sir?
I maintain that position. You see, I don't go to church, but I have strong convictions, one of which is to tell the truth. We held a meeting on the 3rd of July, and the minister, I think, had returned the previous day, and we passed the resolutions. And we passed on the resolutions to the ED, and he disobeyed them.
Honorable Chair.
And
just a second, first finish that.
And the minister has been aware of this, because as you see, the ED writing basically treating us in contempt. We don't have powers to send him on leave, he's not taking leave, and all that sort of thing. So since he came from Kinshasa, he has been working, he has been in the office.
So in essence, the minister actually gave you powers to take action.
No such, other than the power we have under the Act of Parliament.
When he returned from China, he gave you powers. That's what he's saying.
No, no power. And the power is his anyway for him to exercise. He had already written a letter. What I expected upon his return was to say, now I'm back in the office, that the other letter I had given. To me, that letter, when he said withdraw the letter, I didn't take that as a withdrawal in the ordinary parlance. I thought this is simply a stay of execution. The letter is valid. There is no mistake in the letter. Hold it until I return. That's the understanding I got, notwithstanding the use of the word withdraw. It is not a withdrawable document because there was no mistake in it.
Yes, Honorable Sivambi, then I'll come.
Yeah, Honorable Chair, thank you very much. I'd just like to read just two provisions. They are brief from the Uganda National Bureau of Standards Act as amended. Section 11, Director. The minister shall appoint a director to be the chief executive of the officer of the Bureau. Subsection 2, the director shall hold office for such a period and subject to such terms and conditions as the minister may determine. 12, other staff. The council may appoint such other officers or employees of the Bureau as they may consider necessary. So when you look at these two provisions, Honorable Minister and the Chairman, who has authority to terminate, to send on leave, to dismiss an executive director?
Honorable Kwizera.
The Chairman, thank you very much. The Chairman, when you look at it professionally, he who appoints disappoints. That's a very, very big point. So if the minister has power to appoint, he can disappoint. In this case, even this letter of recall, it is addressed to a wrong party. So it should be disregarded because the disappointment was to the ED. The same recall should have been to the ED. When you look at the mandate of the minister and the mandate of the board, it is very clear. So even the ED being here, without recall of the letter he has, it is in error. I thank you.
No, the ED being here, by the way, even if he was fired...
Okay, the ED being in the office.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's a different matter. That being before us here, even if he was fired 1 year ago, he would still have to come here and account. But generally, Honorable Minister, what we are saying is you are the appointing authority of the executive director. That's why it is you who wrote sending him on forced leave. You didn't write to the chairman telling him send the ED on forced leave. You're the one who wrote that because you're his appointing authority. And you're the same one who wrote recalling your earlier letter sending him on forced leave. It is, in my view, I think you're prevaricating when you say you told the council, the board, to take action. The board does not have those powers to fire the ED because you're the one who hires him. But even then, I'm wondering, why did you not put that in writing? The same way you have been putting all the others in writing, you wrote suspending the ED, you wrote recalling the suspension. Why did you not write again whatever it is you wanted the chairperson of the board to do together with the board? Because he's denying you. Why? You're saying you said it verbally. If it was in writing, it would be a different story. So in other words, you're saying you're surprised that the ED is still in office. We are saying you're the reason he's still in office. Mr. Minister.
Writing or no writing, the day-to-day, all the most crucial things are looked after by the board. As you can hear, the board chairman is not denying that on my way back, because of the letter I had withdrawn, supposedly I had withdrawn, but the affair was already told to him to do something about it. And
But can he first finish? Let him first finish. It's okay. I want let him, whether what he's saying makes sense or not, let's first hear him, then we can raise whichever issues. Honorable Minister, you're on the floor.
On my way back, I still dealt with this thing immediately by calling him, the chairman, and telling him, since they are the ones who look after the board affairs for me as by appointment, I changed the decision of 6 months to do the administrative powers which the board has for looking after the day-to-day. That's why they gave him.
Maybe then, why didn't you follow up to
up.
see to it? But you see,
up.
you can't have followed up if you're saying you're surprised that he's still in office.
I followed up as I came. You can see the dates of when I started settling in office. I followed up.
Okay.
And I had a discussion with the chairman.
Thank you, Chair. I think this issue is a straightforward issue. I think we shouldn't drag it so much. One, the minister recalled or wrote to a wrong party, and therefore that does not invalidate this letter of 26th of June. That's number one. Number two, if the minister still thinks that this letter of 26th is valid, then he should write back, he should write again, because he had written to the chairman. And surprisingly, the letter he wrote to the chairman on 27th, he did not copy in anyone else. Yet, on the first one, he had copied in 3 other people. So if the minister still thinks that this letter is valid, it is better that he writes, very simple, he writes and says, although I had traveled and now I'm back, I would like maybe want to have a meeting. I don't know why he wanted to come back and handle the issue. As one of the members asked earlier, what would be the impact of his absence on the leave of the ED? What exactly did you want to do during your comeback, when you come back, what exactly did you want to do on the leave? Because you had given him 6 months leave, and then you're now saying you want to come back and handle the matter. We would like to know what exactly did you want to handle, and you tell us if you have actually handled it, because that's the gist of the matter.
Honorable Gaffa. Move to other
Chair,
issues.
for me, I prefer asking a question direct to the minister and he answers. I ask, he answers, because he forgets. The question I'm asking, Honorable Minister, the letter you wrote on 26th June, sending the ED on forced leave for 6 months, is it still valid?
Yes.
In that letter, you asked the chair of the council to identify a caretaker. Do we have a caretaker now?
Yes, I think.
Who is that person?
He wrote me back. The chair,
So who is the caretaker?
the deputy ED.
Which one? There are two
Which
deputy
one?
EDs.
The lady.
There are 2 deputies. Which one?
Oh, there you are.
The lady.
Which one? For us, we don't know.
Patricia.
So Patricia is now the caretaker.
Yeah, she's the caretaker.
Is there any correspondence to that effect?
Yes.
Can we have a copy of that letter that assigned Patricia as a caretaker ED?
Who wrote it, maybe?
Who wrote the letter?
It was written by the chairman.
Chair, did you write that letter?
Mr. Chair, Patricia, when the executive director went out of the country, he left Patricia in the driving seat. And when we held a meeting on the 3rd of July and asked the ED to go on annual leave, we saw no reason of changing the acting, removing her from the acting position. So we put it in writing and said, while the ED is away, you, Patricia, you would be the acting ED. But then when the ED came back, he basically removed her because she confirmed it to me. I sent her a WhatsApp and said, Patricia, board left you in charge of that institution. Are you still the one? Because I have got some work which I want done. Are you still in charge of that institution? And thank God Patricia is here.
Can we have a copy of the letter that made
Patricia should
Patricia
yes,
a caretaker?
Yes, a copy is here. And then Patricia replied.
Patricia should take her.
Colleagues, we cannot all talk at the same time. It can only be one at a go.
Her seat there.
Madam Patricia Ejalo, I actually wonder why you are seated somewhere at the back. Please come and sit next to your executive director. Because we also want to hear from you. You were left as caretaker. How long did you act? The minister says, as far as is concerned, you're the one who is still acting as caretaker.
There was a coup.
Madam Patricia Ejalo, when did you act and when did you cease to act?
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I started acting when my executive director left for Kinshasa for a week. There was a standards meeting. Then I received a letter I received communication on the 7th of July because I was the acting ED, and in that letter there was communication about council resolutions of a meeting that was held on 3rd July. And I believe that letter has already been submitted to the members. The 6th resolution of that letter is what mentioned that Mr. Ibiru was to go on leave, and the 7th resolution said that the current acting ED, Mrs. Patricia Bagaine Jalu, should continue in the capacity of acting ED until further notice. So I received that on Friday, 7th July. On Monday, 10th July, the ED was back in office. I can only act when the position is available, and he continued to do his work. Thank you.
Okay, Honorable Minister, we want to throw this ball back at you. You are the appointing authority of the executive director. You wrote sending him on forced leave. You withdrew that forced leave later. And since then, not much has happened. Council, which you told to take action, they wrote sending him on forced leave, but I'm sure he refused because council is not his appointing authority. Council, the board, is only his supervisor, not the appointing authority. So perhaps he was saying, according to the law, this board cannot fire me. Now that we are here, and you know all that you do, and it is you supposed to take action, which action you took and you withdrew, what are you going to do now?
I've just seen this letter, which was copied to me. I was informed that the board, which looks after which supervises the council, had taken a decision for Patricia to be acting. And that the current the acting ED, Mrs. Patricia Bagaine Ejalu, should continue in the capacity of acting ED. Because of what I had asked the chairman to do, to deal with this matter, inappropriating the timetable about auditors and everything, and the board had changed that he should act for a month. They did exactly what I had given them the powers to do.
Were you copied in that letter?
Yeah, this is the
But you're saying you have just seen it now.
Yeah, I've just seen it now.
You have,
but
you
what
didn't see it from the time
No,
it was written.
What I'm saying is that I've just seen it now, but I also said earlier on that as far as I'm concerned, I know it is Patricia Ejalu. This is between the letter and me forgetting.
Point of procedure.
And I have ably heard what the minister has said, that he has just learnt of the letter. Chair, something which is very vital to what we want here. Can the minister tell us whether he has a PA? Because he's the one who would have alerted him or reminded him about the letter.
So what's the point of procedure?
The point of procedure, Honorable Chair, is, are we proceeding right? Or is the minister proceeding right to lie to us that he's just learning about the letter when he has a PA who would have reminded him about the letter?
Chairman.
Okay.
Chairman.
It's a point of procedure.
I want to defend myself. I'm not lying at all.
Let me first rule on the point of procedure.
I'm saying I'm lying. I am not lying at all, Chairman.
I actually want to believe the minister when he says, just a second, yes. Let me defend you for a second, Honorable Minister. I don't care whether you have a PA, how many of them, and that kind of thing. It is up to you to have a team that supports you in the work that you do. When the minister says he's seeing that letter for the first time, I want to believe him for a minute. But then again, blame him in his modus operandi, the way he operates. Because you see, as far as I'm concerned, this is a serious matter, which you had given instructions on. You did not follow up to see to it that council, the board, had taken the action instructed them to do. You're learning now, in shock, that the ED is still in office. You're learning now that the board actually wrote, keeping the ED on suspension and keeping the acting ED, Madam Patricia Ejalu, in office. Honorable Minister, are you really in charge of this ministry and an entity like UNBS which you supervise?
True, I'm in charge. And you can see the whole thing was that when I got the first info about what was happening there, I had to consult the chairman, and they held the council sat. And when they sat, they sent this man on leave. But the same person whom we are talking about did not go on leave. And about saying that my PA or my other people of being in charge there, I'm really in charge. The only thing is I'm honest about it, that you can see it in writing, whether you got it late or I didn't get it late. That happens in an office. But the fact is, I told the council to do the needful, and they did it, and they informed me they had done it. And what is still going on, that's why I'm saying, it's not long ago when I'm hearing that Mr. Bill was here on matters talking about this issue. I would have had time if it had not come here to do the needful of writing back. But in other words, I may say that you were faster than me to call this gentleman about these issues. And these issues, okay, fortunately enough, were brought by my council, which supervises that body, of writing the letters of termination of what it is me, as you say, as I had not made any, but I was following the procedure of the matters, how they are going in the bureau. That's why they reduced it to 1 month.
Chair, may I know where the problem is coming from? And this one is going to put everything at rest. Can the minister tell us, because when you are doing all this work, you are doing it closely with your PA. Who is your PA?
Is the one who is with.
That is your PA?
Yes.
Honorable Chair, that gentleman, Mr. Wabusani, he introduced himself as a commercial officer. Senior commercial officer here. Are you doing two jobs? Were you deployed as a PA by the presidential office to the minister? You can tell us, Mr. Wabusani. You stand up and you tell us.
There's a microphone.
Are you a commercial officer or a PA? Because that is where the problem, Mr. Chairman, is coming from. That is where the problem is coming from.
But which problem? I'm also trying to understand.
All the messes which the minister is doing are caused by that gentleman, and this is where I'm going to disclose it. Are you a commercial officer or a PA?
I am the senior commercial officer, and I've been designated as technical advisor of the minister.
A technical advisor?
The minister.
Not a PA. Who designated you?
By the PS.
PA? PS. So you are not a PA?
I am not a PA, but I'm the technical advisor to the minister.
Right now, who is doing your work as a commercial officer? In your office where you are supposed to sit, right now, who is doing your work when you are seated here?
I'm doing the same work, sir.
Yes?
I'm doing the same work. Because as a senior commercial officer, this is the Minister of Trade, and the concerns of trade matters, I'm only concerned on trade matters.
And also on that one, you remember that you resigned when you were going for elections to contest against Wachikona?
I asked for annual leave.
No. You resigned. Do you have
Abdallah, actually, what he's saying is also important because he's saying he asked for annual leave to go and contest, which is against the law. So I want that to be his submission. So you contested, and that's why I was asking which problem, so that now you tell us what you know that we don't. So, Mr. Abusani, you contested in the last election, yes or no?
Yeah, I went in for primaries.
You went in for?
Yes, please.
Come again?
Yes, please.
In the NRM primaries?
Yes, please.
Okay, and did you run eventually in the final?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so when you were going for those political elections, primaries, what did you do? You said did you resign or did you seek for leave?
I asked for leave.
You asked for leave?
Yes, please.
What does the law say?
Maybe I did not got it well. Maybe I did not got
it is not a defense.
Maybe you had not got what well?
The specific law.
The specific law?
Yes, please.
You wanted to be a lawmaker, but you didn't know the specific law under which to operate on whether to resign your job or not before going for politics.
Chair, that was a matter of consultation. And,
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, let's leave it at that. Keep going with your questions.
Chair, before that, because are you always traveling with the minister as the PA?
Honorable Minister, at times I do travel with the minister as a technical officer on trade matters.
Who is the designated PA to the minister?
The designated PA is called Mr. Latim Nyeko.
What is he?
By the time we came, he was not yet in office.
You hijacked his roles. Am I right?
It's not right. The PA is doing his work as PA and is advising the minister as PA. And what I came in was only in the matters of trade. If there's an issue of trade, maybe China, concerned, is when I come
Mr. Chairman, some procedure.
You are here as a technical officer or a PA to the minister?
I came with the minister as a technical officer because the
Mr.
PA was not
Chairman,
there. There was no one in office at that time when the minister was coming here.
Thank you. Are you the one who is always drawing documents to the minister to
No.
sign, or the PA?
I wanted to clarify a bit on this issue.
Just answer what I have asked you.
Yes, the PA is the one who does all those ones.
Are you the one who is always delivering documents to the minister to sign?
No, he has the secretary.
He has
Yes.
the secretary.
Yes, please.
Are you the one who is always taking documents to him about the waivers which has been signing?
Not true.
Chair, I want the gentleman to confirm now that he never resigned when he joined politics, because we have evidence that you resigned, but after losing elections, you came back and maneuvered yourself into the ministry, and there is no new file for you there. Confirm that you never resigned, and if we bring evidence, today you leave office.
It is okay, sir. I do agree that I asked for annual leave,
Mr.
which
Chairman.
I got from
You
public
didn't
service.
resign?
No.
Okay.
Honorable
Mr.
Chair,
Chairman,
again, I have one
some
for
information.
Mr. Wamsai. Have you ever signed anywhere as PA and not technical officer, any document?
At the time when there was a time for about 3 months, the Mr. Lati Munyeko was not on office. And that's the time I was designated to help the minister as PA. That is the only time.
Do you have
period
an
of time.
appointment as PA?
Yes, please. I have that. I
A
have that
formal
information.
letter appointing you as PA?
No, it was additional. It was additional responsibility, the minister's office, not an appointment.
So we are
Mr.
bringing
Chairman.
a document for you for identification
Mr.
for this
Chairman.
committee, where you are signing as PA.
At that time, I was acting as PA.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman.
I was there for 3 months.
Oh, okay, we are going to ask for
Mr. Chairman, can I?
all the documents pertaining to the work that you do. How you got hired.
Procedure, Mr. Chairman.
Just a second. How you got hired initially.
Yes, Honorable.
Into what position?
Yes, Honorable.
You're saying you asked for annual leave.
Yes, Honorable.
We want those documents of you asking for annual leave
Yes, please.
and a response to that request for annual leave
Yes, please.
and how you got back to work.
Yes, please.
Is that clear?
It's clear.
All the documents pertaining to all the positions you're claiming to hold.
It's okay, Honorable.
Procedure, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, point of procedure.
You see, Mr. Chairman, the constitutional provision, Article 80, Clause 4, which is here, you resign, and the resignation in interpretation is that they get, the resignation is accepted. That's one. So if he wanted to go for politics, under the Constitution, he can't be there. He can't. Secondly, under Political Organizations Act, he cannot associate himself with public service when he is in politics. Two, he has no capacity to advise the minister because the minister is advised by the PS. Below the PS, there is a commissioner in charge of the sector. So, and the people to draft for the minister should be the PS. So you cannot get the officer level, not even the principal level, to do that. Lastly, PS are appointed by central government, officer of the president, and deployed for the ministers. So I see him as a masquerader.
Let's do this, colleagues, because we want to ascertain the authenticity is operating. I am going to hand him over to our CID officers right now to properly get to. We want to understand who this man is because there's too many things that are not too clear. Yeah. So bring our microphone. I want you to follow our CID officer. We want to get to understand who this person is because he might be claiming to be what he is not, yeah? So please follow our CID officers and we get to the bottom of these issues. Colleagues, I would like that, it's an interesting question. Who is going to advise the minister? The minister was appointed a minister. Our assumption is that he is competent to do his job. But for that man, we need to get to the bottom of who exactly he is. Honourable Minister, finally on this issue, because we must move to other issues, yeah? Finally on this issue, Honourable Minister, the board suspended the ED, he didn't go on. You are his appointing authority. And now that you thought he was on forced leave and he is not, you are here now. Are you going to take that action today, suspending him? Please speak to us on the microphone.
Thank you for the advice, Chairman. It needs to be in writing, not verbal. As I said,
Just get closer to the microphone.
As I said, when I came back from China,
no, it's okay. We have moved away from that. We are talking about now today.
I'm going to appoint. Sorry, I'm going to write to the chairman of taking this action, put it in writing.
Come again?
That earlier on, I had accepted your advice. I mean, they are the ones who are supervising for me of sending this person on leave, and I thought he had gone on leave. I'm just going to put it in writing, Chairman, right as I leave this place.
What are you going to put in writing and to who, so that we get it clearly?
I'm going to write to ED. I have received a note that a letter that you should go on leave, and up to now you have not gone on leave, only to find you here at this business.
Okay. Now that the minister is telling us he's going to write that letter, sending the ED on forced leave, please copy us in.
Thank you.
As a committee.
Thank you very much.
Because that is action taken that we want to follow up on, and be sure you have done that, yeah? So you said you're going to write that letter today. Kindly copy us in as COSASE, so that we get a copy, and we are sure that is happening.
Chair, just a procedural matter. A procedural matter, Chair.
Yes, point of procedure.
So, Chair, you know we have not concluded our report. I mean, the investigation. I don't want us like we're taking recommendations before we conclude, one. Then two, I don't want also the minister to go and say we are the ones who are ordering him in case there are legal challenges, because we have seen flying letters here of IGG and what and all those. He must, I think, abreast himself with all of that information. Now that he's seeing some documents just for the first time now.
No, Honorable, that doesn't arise. Because if you followed what I was asking, I asked the minister, now that you sent the ED on forced leave, and you are saying you're surprised you have found him here and he didn't go on forced leave, what are you going to do? I didn't tell him this is what we want you to do, yeah? I asked him, what are you going to do? And the minister has told us he is going to write to the ED, sending him on forced leave. He's going to write today. I'm only asking that we get a copy of that, so that it is easy to follow up on, because the other one we couldn't follow up on. The minister wrote, then withdrew it, and that kind of thing. However, that does not take Mr. David Livingstone Ebiru off the hook in any way. He still has to respond to issues that are before us as a committee, because like I said, even if he left office a year ago, all that he did while he was still in office, he has got to respond to. So it does not in any way jeopardize the work that we are doing at all. All right? We are only saying, Minister, you took action, withdrew the action, expected someone else to take the action, and now you're surprised that your instructions were not acted upon. And he has promised to clean that up. That's okay.
Chairman.
Yes, yes, Honourable Minister.
Yeah, Chairman. That's why I said at the beginning that I want to thank you for your calling me here to attend to this matter. I've taken your guidance of putting things in writing. And this particular one, the last one, I'm now going to write a letter to follow up what I just said verbally. I'm thanking you again for your guidance of putting things in writing, not to assume that talking in office is enough.
Okay. Colleagues, let's move to something else, because I think this one, your point of clarification, Honorable Itongo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chair, I'm looking at this letter of the minister, because the minister is going to write another letter. But there is this story here, that he wrote a letter suspending the ED, and the ED did not leave office. You now want to write another letter.
No, I think we have, Honorable Itongo, why I'm saying we have moved away from that, the very minister wrote another letter withdrawing the other.
But Chair, when you look at the second letter, he did not copy in the executive director.
That's
it
okay.
Was the chairman.
He has now promised he's going to write to the ED himself, and he will copy in Kosase. He will also, of course, have to copy in the board chairman.
Then that would be okay, Chair.
Chair, information.
Okay.
As a committee, from the ED who is being sent on leave, and the matter being investigated being financial, issues to do with the money and accounts, we learned that he's a signatory to the accounts of UNBS. And Chair, to my recollection, the law, a signatory to a bank account remains a signatory, whether on leave or at work.
No.
Wouldn't it be proper that, that we advise the minister that while sending the ED on leave, we also copy in the banks so that they are notified that this particular individual has actually gone on leave?
Honorable Mwada, let's not go into the... No.
Chair, this is very important when it
Okay,
comes to finance.
let me guide this way. You see, certain things are the nitty-gritty, yeah? Because now you're saying that the signatory remains a signatory. God forbid that he drops dead today. Does he remain signatory? So anyhow, what's important is that they will handle that internally. That would mean that anything else that Mr. Ebiru, going forward, does as ED is null and void. He cannot sign agreements. He cannot sign on bank checks of the entity and that kind of thing. That's internal workings, yeah? Which I don't think we should get into as a committee. Now you see the minister wants to respond again as we lose time.
And I don't want to respond. I want to take this message, his contribution seriously. You know, there is a job of being an executive officer, and there is a job of accounting officer. There are two jobs. I want also to be guided. I thought he would.
Come again?
There are two jobs in this establishment as it is. An accounting officer is somebody who is appointed by the Ministry of Finance. And what he's talking about may be having some point. And I will have to write at the same time, giving a copy to the SST. I want you to get your guidance on this letter I'm going to write. He mentioned a very important point. I think I need his guidance again as I go.
Chair.
But now, because you see, the PSST appointed him accounting officer because he is ED. He was not an outsider. But that's okay. Copy in the PSST, all right? For us as a committee, give us a copy of that letter. You may not even copy us in as such, but we just want a copy of that letter showing what you have done and so on and so forth. I think that's very clear. Because, you see, once the PSST is made aware that as minister, you have suspended an ED, then the PSST cannot keep him as accounting officer. I think that's very clear.
Yeah.
Yes, Honorable.
I think what we can only tell the Honorable Minister, let him go and consult with his team within the Ministry and Finance, how to deal with that. The PS will guide him. I don't want us to fall into a trap and say it's us when he makes a mistake.
No. And I don't want him to, I want to re-emphasize.
I'm giving you a copy.
I don't know why we are insisting on it, actually. Because the minister wrote suspending the ED. Kosase had not called him at the time. So, and then he withdrew that suspension. Now as far as he's concerned, he has said he thought the ED is on suspension. He's saying he's surprised he's seeing him here. So we are telling him, sort out your house. All right? For us, let's get a copy of what you are doing, because he has learned that now he has to put things in writing. Because he says, he told the board chair, suspend this man, and it did not happen.
Chair, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking on the issue. I'm talking about.
No, that's okay.
Of the accounting officer.
He's going to copy into the PSST, so that the PSST is made aware as well. I think that's very clear. Colleagues, now that we have the minister here, we wanted to pick up on another important aspect within UNBS, PIVOC. That's the pre-export verification of conformity. But perhaps before that, actually, the minister, I think, needs to talk to us about the waivers, just before we go to PIVOC. Because these waiver letters are written by the minister. I have a sample here. You're writing to the ED of UNBS, and there is a particular company that, and these are medical, let me read this. PIVOC waiver on imported items for East African medical vitals. The ministry is in receipt of a letter dated 11th May 2022. This is you, minister, writing to the ED. Dated May 11th, 2022, from East African Medical Vitals, a local manufacturing company of medical gloves and syringes. The company imported items for a factory expansion project that includes a new production line, staff clinic, nursing room for lactating mothers, and kitchen. I am reliably informed that the company adheres to good manufacturing practices and imports items from reputable suppliers or chain stores that deal in high-quality products. In addition, the project is aligned to the national industrial policy priorities of increasing manufacturing value addition for import substitution and exports promotion. The purpose of this letter, therefore, is to, 1, grant a PIVOC waiver for the imported items under the invoice number that one, dated 28th March 2022. 2, request UNBS to release the items to the company under seal and fast-track destination inspection. Signed by Francis Mwebesa, Minister. These are the samples that the ED gave to us, yeah? The earlier one. This is one of them, of the numerous companies that you have given a waiver. How do you determine who should get a waiver and who should not? Because a waiver here means they're not paying the surcharge. Number 2, that inspection has been waived. Of course, you're telling UNBS, fast-track destination inspection, I don't know what that means. Because these are medical supplies. If they don't meet the required standards, they are going to go out there, be consumed by people, and they will hurt people. So talk to us about how you handle these waivers, Honorable Minister.
Chairman, thank you, Chairman, on that one. The waivers of PIVOC, when goods have not been subject to pre-inspection.
Let me first respond, then you raise the question.
The waivers, it is my mandate to determine on goods which are not subject to pre-inspection. We take some consideration of the investors, at least the things which are meant for industrial development, as to reduce the cost of business. At the same time, we take goods which come in on, let's say, disabled people, crutches and so on. All these things are listed down. And at the same time, I have a discretion at any moment for anything which I see is for economic or social or whatever it is. Now, on medicines, I've recently even had a big battle with the Minister of Health. That is why this thing is coming as on top of that. The Minister of Health is saying that they want to do pre-inspection, but of which we are saying no. We are still responsible that you should do the inspection on the other hand. But they are pushing it very hard, that they will do inspection of the factory where the goods are made, and at the same time they will do inspection, but which I don't think is going to be possible. But otherwise, as far as waivers, I carry them out. When I'm in doubt, I always talk with the executive director before I send him this letter. And all those samples he has sent you, we have had a discussion about them.
You have a discussion with who, the ED?
Yeah, I talk to him normally.
So the ED is the one who advises, let's waive on this and the other, and so on?
That's right, yeah, that's right.
Ah.
And before it is done, I have to agree with him on that. Although I have the mandate, I always check with him.
Okay, maybe the ED should tell us quickly, then I come. ED, how do you determine what to advise the minister to waive and what not to waive? Which companies benefit from this?
Chair, let it be on record that the imports clearance regulation, which also governs PIVOC, as a schedule of those commodities that are subject to exemptions. So therefore, my advice only is to inform the minister that please refer to the act. These are the commodities that are subject to exemption. Anything outside that list, it's really at his discretion.
Have you gotten instructions from him waiving of commodities that don't fall under that schedule?
I think there are a number of them in his letters there as well.
Which don't fall within the schedule?
Which are not in the schedule of the ones exempted by the regulation.
So now you, as the one advising him, did you advise him that this one here does not qualify for exemption, for a waiver? Please don't give it a waiver. Have you advised him as such?
I don't. Actually, I have been telling him that please try as much as possible to consult me on whoever comes to you so that I can guide. Because in most cases, I only get these letters without anybody consulting me. Because my guidance is that there is a schedule which is included there, and we look at government projects, we look at classified expenditures, classified supplies and so on, which is really clear, and of course industrial inputs, raw materials, machinery, spare parts. So those are really very clear. So I tell him that whoever comes, does it fall under this? So that's really my advice. Anything outside that, I don't advise.
Give us examples of waivers he has given to commodities that don't qualify. Some examples.
Innocent?
Just off head, really, because you're the one dealing with these things.
I need to, Innocent, let's get the copies.
No, you have said that some don't fall.
Generally,
so give us examples.
Okay, item for general trade. If some importer has brought his things for the shop to sell to the public, that automatically should not qualify for waiver because it is expected for protecting consumers or buyers. So if somebody is importing any item for general trade, that's automatically out of the waiver. If it is for industrial value addition, yes, that can be considered because that's what we are promoting. But if you are bringing for your shop for sale and distribution as a businessman, that is not qualifying.
What's the extent of the gravity of these waivers for some of those commodities you're saying that don't qualify, but they've gotten waivers and the commodities are out there? Are they safe for consumption? Does that worry you as UNBS?
Our worry is that it defeats our compliance because we want any commodity that's regulated by us to be inspected from their countries of origin before coming here. So the challenge is that if you encourage people that you can actually be inspected on arrival, then you're undermining the PIVOC program, which requires them to be checked from there. So whereas he waives the penalties, that's actually what he waives. He waives the surcharge because we are saying if you have not come with the certificate of conformity, will charge you 15% penalty of CIF of the valid customs value of that item plus then the destination fees. So what he waives is the surcharge, the penalty, but then we do the inspection for that. But it's of course undermines the mandate because it encourages people to continue coming instead of subjecting those items to inspection at the countries of export.
The cars, the vehicles fall in that category where you have to give waivers?
Vehicles, actually the level of compliance to motor vehicles as far as PIVOC is concerned is quite higher than the general goods. So it is not a common practice, if I can remember.
Is there a situation where the minister has ever provided a waiver to traders, these from Pakistanis, and he provides them a waiver?
Yes, sir. Among the letters there, we can just, because they are bulky, but as chairman has guided, we are going to give analysis of the importers and possibly the items that can be in that detail.
And you're saying you have raised this alert to say, Honorable Minister, these ones don't qualify. Have you raised that alert?
Apparently, the Honorable Minister is the one who signs the same regulation, so he's aware of what is exempted and what is not.
No, you as the one
Yes,
giving
I have
advice.
done that. I've done that severally.
And has your advice been followed?
Well, as he has told you, he has also discretion to the advice I give him. No. I can advise, but it takes his own discretion.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
As he said, the advice on many things. And I still have the mandate of getting these people covered. As he said it from the beginning, I have the discretion. If I find, let's say, as he's talking about motor vehicles, an ambulance, or something meant for any charity or something like that, I have the. Well, it depends on how I look at your member, but the whole thing, I have the mandate to, but in most cases, all the things which are on the schedule, if I find any doubts, as you have heard, I always ask him for advice. But generally, I have the mandate in the circumstances.
Honorable Chair, we want to get that provision. Honorable Chair, we want to have that provision in the regulations.
Don't you think that you are abusing that mandate?
But now, colleagues, can we have one person at a time? You see, that's my challenge also. Everyone accesses the mic, everyone is talking. Let's be... Okay, after all... Hey!
Okay.
Colleagues, can we have order? But, Honorable Baka, actually, what you're complaining about is what you're raising. So, in other words, you're right. So don't raise too much noise about it. I'm saying you're actually right. Whoever is to access the mic, get the consent so that not all of us are talking at the same time. So,
Honorable Minister, we have been guided by the ED, and that's the position of the law, that the regulations specifically has a category or classes or situations where you can give a waiver or exemption. And for you are talking about that you have the mandate and discretion. Kindly please provide specific provision within the Act or the regulations giving you that mandate and discretion to do a waiver or to give an exemption.
Honorable Kambale.
Thank you, Chair. I've heard from the ED stating that he has been advising where necessary. My request is that one question is that has the advice been verbal or in writing? If it has been in writing, we need that evidence. Secondly, the minister is saying he has the discretion of taking up the advice or not taking up the advice. But the advisor is the technical advisor to him. Now I wanted to ask the minister, when you are taking up the discretion of not taking up the advice, who has been next to you to advise you that you see, even when the ED has said no, you can go ahead to maintain yes? Who has been close to you? Finally, Chair, the colleague who has been handed to CID told us he's a senior commercial officer, but again, he's a PA. That it tells us that he's an advisor to the minister. But by virtue of his position of being senior commercial officer, he follows direct under the docket of Minister of Trade, and therefore he's under the permanent secretary. I wanted us not to forget that, the Chair, that the PS, Minister of Trade, should also appear here, because anybody close to the minister, the PS should be in the know. So me, I'm worried he has other advisors, the minister. Because when he says no to the technical advisor, who is the accounting officer, and the ED, it means he has other advisors next to him. And unfortunately, one of the advisors we have already doubted. So we need the PS here to tell us, whom did she attach to the minister to be a technical advisor, who assists him in such serious decision making?
Honorable Mzale.
Thank you, Chair. Although it has been long to get this opportunity.
Please go to your point.
Chair, I really wanted to get the rationale of the minister in giving waivers for companies not to have their products tested and confirmed at source. Because I don't know whether he's aware that we still have fake products on the market. I don't know whether he's aware that Ugandans are spending a lot of money on these fake products. You buy a spare today, tomorrow it is down. Honorable Minister, would it be wrong if we put it to you that you are the reason this country is suffering with the fake products?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, finally. Mr. Chairman, the letter you read, and I want the minister to hear this. You talked about to release under seal. Chair, you can imagine if a whole container is released under seal. It has not been checked, but it has been released. And Chair, there has been reports by police wondering how raw materials for making these explosives come into the country. So, Minister, don't you think we are risking by releasing containers under seal? More especially when we have these explosives. And I have seen the data is under medical something. So some of these things, Chair, may come under medical chemistry and they end up becoming explosives. And that's why we have some of these issues. So I just wanted to bring the attention of the Minister that releasing a container under seal really is a very high risk, and you should revise your decision on that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Honorable Baka.
He has raised my mind from the word go. I had wanted the minister to be comfortable in the presence of the PS. And that's why he's getting a lot of problems. Even some of these communications, including when he was rescinding his rate of 26, he did not copy the PS. And in most cases, as a former minister, some sensitive issues when the minister is going to sign, the PS either drafts for you or he gives you advice, not the PA. PA is just for writing your letters, but the technical input is the PS. Secondly, I'm seeing the head of legal, and there was the technical man whom you have taken down, who has been advising my minister there. I wanted to know the role of the legal person in such regulations, or where the act is telling the minister, do this, don't do that. You mean the ED, the legal person is not involved, is not consulted, or for him is assigned other duties?
Honorable Cooper.
2 days we have been having the undersecretary.
Honorable Minister, I hope you're noting the issues. Huh?
The last 2 days we have been having the undersecretary, more or less of the deputy to the PS, and who is also the member of the board. Now that he is honorable, he is racing with the experience in the executive. I don't know why he's not here today, because always when the minister appears with the PS or the undersecretary. But for today, he has decided not to be here. It would have been a person who would have been able to put the question.
Actually, he communicated he was traveling out of the country today for some training or that kind of thing. But carry on.
Yeah. On the issues of exemption and the release, I think it's a big problem. It's not only in this ministry. You remember when we talked in URA, we have been raising these issues in Parliament. It has been abused. I think the ball gets back to our courts, because we are the ones who make these laws and approve even the regulations. And I think going forward, it's where we are picking a point to see how we shall be able to make the recommendations. I want to stop there for that. Thank you.
Honorable Mwada.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, the minister being an old man, I'll make a summary. Oh, advanced age, I'm advised. Chair, I want to focus on the Act and the regulations. Reading from the Act, specifically Section 18, read together with the Section 43 of the UNBS Act, the minister's mandate is statutory. For example, under Section 18, that the minister must act on recommendations recommendations from Council in coming up with the relevant guidance, which must be gazetted. And that guidance is specifically detailed in Section 43. That's to do with regulations, to guide these exemptions. And now reading from the Uganda National Bureau of Standard Inspection and Clearance of Import Regulation 2022, on assumption that you signed them, the regulations are also clear in terms of goods, import, export, and the clearance is required. I want to learn from you. I've tried to peruse through the regulations. I've tried to peruse through the Act. Where do you get the mandate to exempt outside this mandate which you must exercise in form of coming up with regulations, and after coming up with these regulations, I've heard you say that you have the powers under the law. And I want to presume that the law you meant was the UNBS Act and the regulations. And the latest ones are those of 2022. Now, I've perused through all. Guide me to reach the regulation or the section that gives you the mandate to exempt outside the regulations.
Okay, Honorable Minister. Microphone.
I start with what the member has just said.
I'm Honorable Muwada Nkunyinji of Chadondo East.
I start with the issue raised by Honorable Muwada of Chadondo East. At the beginning of this mandate issue and the statutory instrument, the executive officer mentioned to you that I do give these exceptions on the listed goods in the Act, and of which I said I always consult him to know whether this is covered by the Act, because that is a day-to-day job. And he has only said that there are some of using that mandate, which is for some reason or other. And that is what you are talking about. The mandate, you might find some items are not covered by the mandate. But the most important thing is that all the same, we take off penalty. But we don't take away the question of inspection. It means if a good has come through, and that also answers the person who was talking about fake goods. That is what I'm saying, that when the goods come in and they have bypassed they did not do PVOC on the other side, and they come in the country, and they have not done PVOC, what I always do, I say, okay, I've exempted for some reason after consulting him. Is this
you consult to who?
The executive is the one who gives this. It's me, I write the letters, you have seen these letters, are telling him to do a job, but after his consultation.
You consult in words or in writing?
It is, well, if a document comes in, I consult in words. And then he also said, some other person raised an issue I wanted to, the honorable member talked about fake goods coming in.
Maybe just a second. Whenever you're giving these, do you cite the relevant regulations and so on?
Yes, regulations are signed of certain items that you can come in without construction, value addition, and so on. And most of these things come in by manufacturers, which are exempt. Because, but then at the same
time... But your ED was saying that there are a number of those which are not exempt, but you exempt them and he stops at giving advice.
No, that one is talking something false. Because at the same time, even when I was also going to answer the question of fakeness of goods in the country, because he's still responsible for the goods that come in this country to be PT. Although they have jumped off the PVOC line, I only exempt the waiver of the penalty because of this statute which you are talking about. But as regards fake goods or goods coming in which are hazardous, I am answering the person who talked about fake goods. It is still his responsibility that if the PVOC was not carried on the other side, he has to carry out goods to protect Ugandans or to protect what is not supposed to come here. So any paper which he brings there, if he says I signed it without his, he still has the responsibility of checking or paying the three some money for inspecting these goods which were not inspected on the other end. Still, the quality and the quantity of goods is still checked by UNBS here. If it has not been done on the other side, it must be done on this side. And there is no reason. If there is any fake good that is goes in this country, it is not because of the minister's discretion. It is the UNBS. Those goods are inspected here at arrival. other than being inspected on pre-inspection.
Chair, meaning that the minister exempt penalty, but not the requirement for inspection.
Yeah.
And the particular
Exactly.
importer has to meet the cost of inspection.
Yes.
That is your submission.
That's what I'm saying. Of
Yes,
inland inspection.
Honorable Mzali.
I want to pick it from the minister. What really guides you to give these people a waiver from having those products tested from source, confirmed from source? Is it that the cost the other side is too much compared to the 15% you are collecting here? Is your focus to collect the 15% in terms of penalties? Tell us.
You know, the most important thing about UNBS is to protect goods coming in this country. That's the most important thing. And this is by law, as has been stated, that there are goods which are exempted from this inspection. The whole thing is this: if goods have not been inspected on the other side, and they have come in this country, and I know they are of importance, that is the mandate I'm talking of, they fall under any other category. And these are the ones sometimes I consult him. But then still, the person, if you see on those letters, will still pay the fee of inspection, and it is done by UNBS. And it is him, the executive director, or the UNBS that is responsible for the goods to come in here. It's a question of saying UNBS is there to protect the goods that come here.
Mr. Chairman, I also wish to remind the minister that he's the supervisor of the Center. Now, one question. Do you also agree that we have fake products on the market or not?
If they are there, it is UNBS responsible.
Do you not have a part as the supervising minister in all of this?
I just want, Chairman, if I may be allowed to say this. I've had a row with the Minister of Health currently, claiming that because they are doctors, these things are meant for human health. He knows it himself. They say they want to go and inspect the factories where the goods are made and then bring them through here, and they get here. They also, they put them on a ship and make sure they know that these goods are good for the health of Ugandans, and then come and use their lab in Kampala, which they say they have got a wonderful lab. I'm just mentioning an example, which is now precarious about the office of UNBS, and which I find it is completely wrong as to question of quality and quantity. Though these goods are for health, they must be inspected before they come in this country.
No, but aside from those, Honorable Minister, there's been complaints about things like cosmetics, which are on the market that are fake, that are substandard. Yeah. You know, metallic bags. Sometimes you see buildings crumbling, and it's because the metallic bags are of low standard, and all of these different things. Where does Ministry of Health come in there?
No, I'm saying even now those goods you are talking about, they are local made. Anybody who buys goods, he finds their stamp of UNBS. You get what I'm saying? So it is again
UNBS.
UNBS.
Now you as supervisor, if UNBS is giving a green light, a clean bill of health to commodities that are substandard, what are you doing about this?
I've been quoted in the press and everywhere telling UNBS, instead of going to people's shops and getting things that they are wrong, I've been telling them that goods of specific nature, these people should be going to factories and inspect to see whether they conform with the things they presented to them when they were going to put this on the market. And it is true, in some way or other, it is UNBS which is supposed to be doing all this work. Find out the fake goods on the market.
Yes, Honorable.
But as a supervisor, I've advised that instead of going to the shops, let them go to the people whom they give that stamp of saying UNBS.
Okay, I really want us to wrap up this issue, and we move to the next. We have captured what we...
Mr. Chairman. Chair, I think the minister is getting good information from the members. and the minister will get this information from the voters. First of all, the chairperson of the council is on record here that the inspectors of UNBS are corrupt. Number two, the letter which the chair has read, it seemed to be an open letter. Chair, because I don't have a copy, I don't know that in that letter, the minister is specifying the number of containers that should be released under seal, or it just says release, whether they are 10, whether they are 20, whether they are whatever, release. So in that communication, Chair, I want to know whether you are specifying the quantity of containers or items to be released, but I don't have the copy, Chair. But Mr. Chairman, as I was saying, this statement of saying release under seal is a high risk end, which the minister should note, because you don't know what is in the container. All the fake products they are talking about, that could be the exit route. The explosives I was talking about, that could be the exit route. So, Mr. Minister, you need to do something on that statement of release under seal. It is really very dangerous.
Chair, I am informing, I don't release goods. The goods which are released under seal, it will only be UNBS which can do it. Because if the goods have come inspected from that end, when they come here, he has the details of the goods, so it is UNBS to follow it up.
No, I read to you a sample letter which was given to us by you people. I think that's what Honorable Itungo is referring to. I request UNBS to release the items to this company under seal.
Under seal?
Yes, this is the letter signed by you, sir. Francis Mwebesa, Minister.
And it was written to the Executive Director?
Yes, please.
I don't know if he released the goods under seal.
No, Minister, this is the letter written by you.
But the application comes. I mean, those are the things that he should have seen that I can't release goods under seal.
He should have seen that you can't release goods under seal. But you signed, Honorable Minister.
I'm saying, all the same, if you saw that thing I wrote to him, you should have known that it was under seal. You get what I'm saying? I think that is a one-off, as I can see. I mean, by which my service kept my... No. If they are there,
Honorable Minister, and you see, maybe the challenge I'm having with you, Honorable Minister, I don't know who you operate with. People are talking about PA and so on. You need to have a bit more help around you. Because it's possible people bring to your table documents, sign, and you sign. That's why you're not recalling all of these that you are signing, releasing under seal.
Chair, maybe for assistance to the minister, does he retain copies to whatever letter he issues or waivers he issues out?
We retain a copy. They are in my offices.
Can you assist us with those copies?
Okay. I do. Because I'm trusting that UNBS on the other end, which is responsible for entry of goods in this country, the executive director should know. If I have any doubt, I always refer to him. The only thing exceptional which I've seen is this thing of saying under seal. That's what I've seen. It has just come to my mind today.
And it has just come to your mind, and yet you signed the letters.
No, but I trusted the executive director.
That when you say release under seal, for him, he shouldn't.
The goods are the goods are the most important. And he must know what these goods are.
Honorable Cooper.
And even if they go to the market, it is still him to find and trace them.
Chair, what does release under seal mean? I think we need to understand what.
Don't open the container. Keep it sealed.
That's what I'm saying. I want to explain. Having worked with URA, where you also used to use that word. That means that when an inspector subjects commodities to inspection and testing, and the importer is cleared by the Uganda Revenue Authority, the inspector may release under seal the commodities to a sealable storage facility of the importer. You release it under seal to another facility which is sealable. So when you take it there, then URA, for that matter, which I would expect to be happening here.
I think Honorable Elijah has tried to explain the concept. Releasing under seal means that we are only saving you from the demurrage or storage at the point of entry. So we will say that release the truck to go, but let's secure the goods in a sealable storage at your own premises. but you are not allowed to use it until you get confirmation that it is what? Safe and meets the quality of the standards. So it's basically being a bit lenient that, okay, if you have where we can secure it with our lock, we can offload it there, but you are not in possession until the final what? Analysis results come to say that it's safe, then you can take possession. That's what it means.
Okay, I want us to move.
Yeah, something. I have one observation when it comes to commodities. Chair, looking at Section 18, already together with Section 20, I wanted to draw the Minister to now the requirement of a distinctive mark, because it rotates around the Council's approval. And when we talk about counterfeit and substandard products, which require clearance, what we gather from communities is that actually those goods are described with the distinctive mark of UNBS. And it is a requirement under Section 20 that it is the Council or any person acting under authority of the Council. Now, I want to look at certification of these products. Who are engaged in allowing permission or granting permission for these distinctive marks, and what efforts have been done to follow up those who have illegally, wrongfully, within the Council and outside the Council as importers, in using these distinctive marks of UNBS, because it also speaks to conformity, to testing and standard, and it's a requirement of you to supervise, because it is you actually who gazette these distinctive marks. By presumption, you have a responsibility to oversee.
Honorable Muzali, let's combine those and get
that. Wana ED, the minister has put it to you that the reason why we still have fake products on the market is because you're not doing your work. Is that true?
Chair, again, UNBS has been very open, and I think in our first day we said that UNBS was the only exception of agency that has been given money to recruit. So we do agree that we are not manning all the entry points where we are supposed to be there, and therefore importers take advantage of that gap. So this is common knowledge that we need to build up capacity to be able to be present, at least minimum where we are supposed to be, so that we close that gap. But I also need to add that the challenge is now is actually on locally manufactured products, is not necessarily imported commodities, because as you know, our people have been encouraged to make sure that they are innovative, we are encouraging value addition and so on, and yet most of them are actually producing them from informal sectors, locations which we can't be able to trace. But that's why we have market surveillance operations to try to find, when we get them, we trace back where they're coming from. So efforts are being done to address the issue, but it's a capacity program of number of staffs. But we have also done decentralization of our offices. As you are aware, we are now in Gulu, fully-fledged, Mbale, and Barara. So we believe that as we spread nearer to the countryside, we will be minimizing the prevalence of some of these commodities on the market.
Okay, I think we...
The ED about distinctive marks. The distinctive marks are these marks we put on UNBS.
Yes, the law is a council or any member of council can give permission, but this authority has been abused. What is being done? That's why we find the marks on substandard products, mostly those imported, much as the ED is trying to impute on local products. It is mostly on the imported products. But what have you done? Because you are the one who gazette these marks, and you have authority to supervise.
If I may ask, the distinctive marks is the new program we are trying to roll on? Is that the new program?
Our distinctive mark is the Q mark, which is we are fixed on a commodity that we have checked and ensure that it conforms. But possibly for the information of members, we are trying to enhance the integrity of that quality mark because of what the honorable member is raising. How do you know that this is actually genuine, authentic? So we are introducing the trace and track technology, which we call the digital conformity marks. We have already actually it piloted it, and we should be able to bring those high-risk commodities as a priority to tag, so that even as a consumer, you're able actually to scan to confirm that this is genuine, genuinely certified, and then we can be able to weed out those that fake them.
So the minister gazetted the mark, he doesn't know? Because...
No, I know.
Eh?
I know.
I think the issue is
I know.
that the mark is being misused.
I know. The mark, I know, but it's just in its rolling state. I know. We are introducing that quality mark, true mark. On certain commodities, which I mean from the executive.
Honorable, we were saying that the Q mark has been there almost as old as UNBS. It's a certification mark. Anybody who is producing a product is expected to acquire a quality mark from UNBS to confirm that these goods are safe. What we are doing is to enhance the authenticity of this mark on the market by introducing the technology of trace and track for our consumers to be able to actually confirm or check that it is genuine.
So it's possible some people counterfeit that mark. That's the work they have to do. All right, I'd like us to move to something else.
Chair, small. Can ED tell us who is John Kiwanuka in UNBS?
John Kiwanuka is one of our principal officers in the calibration department, I guess.
Can
the issues
you
of...
come with him tomorrow?
Can I?
Can you come with him tomorrow?
With John Kiwanuka. It's okay. I will give him an invitation.
All right. There's this famous animal called pivok. The chairman of the board, maybe the day before yesterday, had begun to hint on it, but we said, let's first deal with these other matters, and then we handle it substantively. You had certain complaints regarding how this issue was handled, some corruption allegations, and so on and so forth. Talk to us about that, and then we'll get feedback from the others.
Thank you very much, Chair. This PVOC is a very controversial subject at UNBS. And the simple thing is, there is money in it. It is one of those procurements where there is money, evidently. Now, I will not go through for time purposes, and if the minister has to answer some questions, I will not go through the entire PVOC, but suffice to say, we are in the procurement process for PVOC providers of used motor vehicles at the moment. The exercise started as far back as February of this year, and it is not yet completed. The contracts expired on the 31st of May, and we've just been progressively extending them until the process is completed. Now, in Feb, a number of companies participated in the bid. Actually, five of them participated. And only one was successful through the EGP system, the electronic government procurement system. Only one. Now,
which one?
It is called the QISJ. Now, when we put out the bids, we said we can have as many as 3, but we did not care so much about the minimum because we put a mark, we put a pass mark. So the 3 was a maximum according to how what marks or whatever points you achieved. So at the conclusion of the process, only one was successful and was declared the best evaluated bidder. So the problem we have today is that after displaying the best evaluated bidder, there were frantic efforts within the Bureau to include a company that had not succeeded. And the company, through its lawyers, ended applying for an administrative review with the accounting authority. The accounting authority, the accounting officer, who is the ED. Now, their displeasure was on 2 grounds. Number one, that there was a contention as to whether they had offices or proper representation in the UAE. And the other one was that they claimed some of the facilities in Japan, which they may not have had. So the ED, when he received an application for an administrative review, and I now bring your attention to the document I gave you yesterday, bound. But in a summary, an administrative review was put in place by the executive director or the appointing the accounting officer. So the accounting officer put an administrative committee. It was appointed with terms of reference. Now, that committee had 3 people, and I think they are all in here. One is Patricia Bagene, who is a deputy ED, and Hassan Warusimbi, who is the chief of legal, and Timothy Sekandi, who is the manager internal audit. Now, the terms of reference that the ED gave the accounting officer communicated to them was to recommend appropriate action to be undertaken by the accounting officer. So that was his own recommendation, a term of reference, that they recommend appropriate action to be undertaken by him. Now, in the document, paragraph 9, the team made only one recommendation. Paragraph 9 of that document, and it reads, the administrative review team recommends to the accounting officer as follows: that the matter of selecting the suitable service provider or providers for contracting be referred to the PPDA tribunal for proper interpretation and decision. So, Chair and honorable members, that was the recommendation of the review team put in place by the accounting officer. But, surprise, surprise, wonders never cease. The following day, on the 14th of July, the accounting officer writes to Tumusime Kabega and Company, the lawyers of the complainant, and the document reads, this is therefore to inform you that your administrative review was found valid and has been considered as one of the best evaluated bidders for the provision of PVOC service providers for used motor vehicles. So the matter that had been recommended to go to PPDA tribunal, the accounting officer constituted himself into a PPDA tribunal and decided that the administrative review was successful. And then he continued to issue a best evaluated bidder notice. So there was Quality Inspection Services Japan, QISJ, had succeeded as the only bidder. Now, the administrative review sought has said this matter is too difficult for us, send it to PPDA tribunal. The officer, the accounting officer, writes to the complainant that your review was successful, and therefore you are now one of the best evaluated bidders. So, as a person who heads the board, I'm concerned that this could end in litigation that could cost the institution money for an action taken by the accounting officer on his own, irrespective of a clear advice of a board or a committee he put in place. That is it from me, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. I just want to apply for to provide these PFOC services
yes.
for used motor vehicles.
Yes.
And out of 5, 1 emerged winner.
Yes.
That's QISJ.
Yes.
Emerged the sole winner and best evaluated bidder.
Yes.
The evaluation committee favored only that one.
Yes.
The contracts committee, which has 5 members, but 1 was on leave, all the 4 agreed to award that same one.
Yes.
QISJ. And there was a complaint raised by one of those that was dropped, EAA.
That's right.
They raised a matter for administrative review.
Yes.
The ED puts in place a team headed by the deputy ED.
Yes.
And they say, in their conclusion, this matter should be put before PPDA tribunal.
Yes.
But you're saying the ED
yes.
decided against that and
awarded. Included the other one.
Included the other one as another
as a best evaluated bidder.
Best evaluated bidder.
Yes.
And you're saying this matter didn't go to the PPDA tribunal as the team headed by the deputy ED.
It did not.
Had said. Okay, maybe let's get a feedback from the ED on these allegations.
Because before I respond, I want to refer you to Annex A, the one with IGG. I don't know whether members have this IGG. Chair. Okay. So I don't know whether you have perused and found the background about all this procurement from the beginning. There was, although Chair says that we wanted 5, but well, 5 bidded, we needed 3, but you can see what happened with the potential 3. Through that IGG, there are a lot of letters there, including the chairman's letters, and IGG responded to his role in the procurement. When he says that 1 bidder was the most successful, I want to possibly ask who is in position to publish the best evaluated bidder. I want to tell this committee that I came to know that the best evaluated bidder notice was running 4 days after it was published behind my back. And yet, according to the law, everybody knows that is accounting officer that clears the list of the best evaluated bidders, having been convinced about the reason why others have not been included.
Published by who?
By the accounting office, or by head of procurement. Head PDU published that 1 company on EGP as the best evaluated bidder. And unfortunately, that same head of PDU had actually picked only a single bidder in the EGP instead of framework, which allows more than 3 bidders. So the system was biased from the beginning of the procurement to only go for 1. But that said, I want to refer you to B, document B. Document B, apart from the IGG. Document B, you find the contracts committee did not actually make a conclusive decision on awarding that single company. They referred the matter to PPDA for guidance because they voted in a tie, 2-2, and wrote to PPDA for further guidance, citing reasons, including some of the gaps they thought were emanating from evaluation committee. So, Chair, you can see that B, that was a letter by the chairman of the contracts committee, and PPDA response in the next page, if you read the PPDA response there. PPDA tries to appreciate the background to the whole thing, and in their conclusion, they are saying that the authority concludes that since both EAA, Company Limited, and Quality Inspection Services met the requirements in the bidding document, the entity should consider them for award as service providers for used motor vehicle PVOC to Uganda standards in a bid not to have monopoly in the provision of these services. They go ahead and say that the authority is also aware that from the procurement report submitted by UNBS that EAA Company Limited and QIJ Limited have been providing the same used motor vehicles pre-export company conformity services to the entity in various countries, including Arab Emirates and Japan. Chair, for your information, these two companies are the ones whose contracts have expired. With EAA, which IGG was mentioning, the attempt to be blacklisted, doing 80% of our inspections, and then this QISJ, who is going for monopoly, doing 20%. We have that data. So this was the basis. Although administratively, I tried to ask my team to evaluate the reasons given, whether it was valid. They confirmed that yet EAA had actually valid reasons to complain. However, their recommendation was that instead of accounting officer taking a decision, let it go to the tribunal. Mr. Chairman, we are already 3 months delayed by this procurement because of that back force. And also, this committee was advisory. It was not to direct the accounting officer on what to do. Mr. Chairman seemed to have indicated that that committee, accounting officer, had to go with their recommendation. This committee was put by me as advisory. So when they advised me, they had to, if you go to that same letter of the chair, look at the reason they gave. Apart from taking it to the recommendations, there is that reason they give. There were several disagreements within the evaluation committee and contracts committee in relation to legal interpretation. That is the same reply PPDA has given us because of that disagreement. Then secondly, they are saying to avoid the procuring and disposal entity appearing to favor a particular bidder. So we are saying that why should we be seen to prefer a particular bidder and give Ugandans one service provider inspecting a minimum of 3,000 vehicles per month coming into this country for the next 5 years?
Procedure, Chair.
The conclusion. In view of the above glaring discrepancy, once the procurement exercise is done, I hereby order that a forensic audit be carried out, especially to compare documents submitted during the 2020-2023 tender against those for 2023-2028. Depending upon the outcome of the forensic audit, it may be necessary to involve PPDA and other law enforcement bodies. Signed by Francis Mwebesa, Minister. Honourable Minister, this is a bit confusing because on the one hand you're saying there are glaring discrepancies, but then you're saying the procurement should go on, after which we should conduct a forensic audit. We seem to be shooting first and aiming later. Because a forensic audit, by the way, it's a serious issue. It's quite costly as well. You want that we do it after this has happened. I would have thought you would say, let's first establish this procurement here. Is it being done right? Maybe first pause a bit or whatever the case might be. You're saying go on with it. We can conduct a forensic audit later. Help us understand this before we can release you, sir.
I didn't want to commit myself in going in the affairs. I had wanted, let them go on the process. You know, you can't stop PPDA, whatever it's doing. But afterwards, if there is any discrepancy, we could ask for the forensic audit. That's what I mean. Because there was a lot of, as you have heard from what all these people have been saying, there was a lot about this, that, and so on. So I told them, but I cannot, nobody has a right to stop the PPDA going on. But if anything goes bad, we have to applying for the forensic audit.
Nobody has a right to stop an ongoing procurement?
I mean to interfere with PPDA until it is concluded. That's why I'm saying let's have it. At the end, when it is concluded, we can have a forensic audit if there are people still complaining.
Chair.
Okay. No, Minister, your issue is a bit,
can I come again?
Please.
PPDA everybody knows that their decisions are PPDA's decisions. But if there was complaints done by management, as you had, and the board, I said, let the PPDA process go on. In case there is anything which is wrong, we shall have a forensic audit.
I think, Chair,
yes.
the minister is trying